we've lived through and what our day jobs demand, we've spent some serious time researching neuroscience. The pattern we keep seeing is the way we think shapes the way we behave. And over time, those behaviors shape our outcomes, often before we even realize we've made a choice.
So in that research of neuroscience, it opened the door to neuroplasticity, habit loops, stress responses, microdecisions, all the brainy stuff that explains why just try harder is a trash strategy. In this lab, we're rewiring habits one experiment at a time.
Welcome to I² Lab. Okay, so let's get into the most common fears, because I hear the most. I know I got to do this. I'm just afraid of being hungry. And I always was like, really? But I think I was also too. I just never named it as fear. And that might be the word that's tripping me up. Like, I'm not afraid of anything. Yeah, I think I probably was too. There's a portion of it that you just don't want to do. You're like, ugh, I know what to do. I don't want to give up this. I'm afraid of giving this up or whatever it is. Okay, so what are the most common fears? One, if I feel hunger, there's this sense that I'll lose control. And I can relate to this one. I mean, this is probably one of the biggest ones. That's why I'm talking about it as number one. I mean, hunger isn't feared because it's unpleasant exactly. It doesn't feel great to feel hungry. It's feared because it has historically preceded overeating, maybe even binge eating past the point of being full or comfortable. I blew it spirals. So the brain learns hunger equals danger signal. What they're really afraid of is I don't trust what happens after hunger shows up.
That makes sense.
I've noticed this especially in the last couple years. I don't know that this was as prominent the first few times around the mountain. I don't know that it showed up as strongly as it has this last few times that I've lost weight. And maybe because your body is like, oh, here we go again. Here's the pattern of restriction of some kind. Even though it's plenty of calories that you're eating, it is way less than your body has been used to. So there's this, I think this is probably an underestimated one, but probably one of the most important, because if you stop trusting yourself around the food, that's when we all get into the habit of, I can't have that. I can't stop with that. I think we can get out of that eventually, but I do think there is a time and place to abstain from certain foods that you do lose control around, at least for a period of time, until you do feel more in control. I'm not saying I'm never going to be able to, not have this certain kind of food, but I do need to be aware when I am around certain foods.
Do you feel like it's gotten easier?
No.
No. Okay.
Yes and no, actually. Okay. I should say yes and no. For me, I love novelty. So it's like, for example, when I first got into maintenance, I really, I hadn't had sugar in a very, very long time, and I really wanted a cinnamon roll. I know. And I know Adam does too. So that's why when he says he does, I'm like, totally.
I get it. Yeah.
Get it. Totally get it. Once I allow myself to have it, the novelty wears off for me. And especially if I can frame it as, you can have this pretty much anytime you want. So what is the big deal of getting it all in right this second? None of this is going away. What if you could have all the candy bars on earth? What would you actually have? If there was no restriction for you, if I can really sit down and I know not everybody has time for this, but I actually have a notes app that I will just take a few moments and type out a reflection or talk out a reflection of what I'm feeling in the moment. Like, what if there was no restriction here? What if there was no shame in eating all of these calories and I would not gain weight from eating 14 1,000 calories in one sitting. I'm not saying I've done quite that much, but I have ate a large amount of calories that would probably make some people's toes curl. What if there was no weight gain? What if there was no shame spiral? What would it mean to then relieve myself from all of the, I don't know the word I'm looking for, all of the
Like guilt.
the baggage, the guilt, the consequences.
Mm-hmm.
What if there were no consequences to eating as much as I wanted? Would I still really want to?
Yeah, it's almost, I kind of feel like, I don't know if I'm going in the right direction with this, but it's like when we first, or at least when I first graduated high school and you were in college and you went off on your own and you started to make your own money and you could start to buy your own groceries.
Yeah, that was a big one.
And
Buy your own fast food.
you can buy anything you want
Mm-hmm.
and you can buy your own fast food and you didn't have to buy what your mom or your dad bought you. So you could buy the whole bag of Doritos and you could eat it all in one sitting. And it was almost a challenge and it was almost fun. Like it was a game.
Mm-hmm.
Which might be sick to other people, but because we grew up in a household where we didn't have a lot of money, so that those kinds of items were not around.
They were scarce.
They were scarce.
There was scarcity.
So there was value to it.
Mm-hmm.
It was rare. It was almost a novelty,
Mm-hmm.
like you said. I'm almost equating it to that. It almost,
That's exactly it.
Yeah, it almost became a challenge or a game. It gamified it almost.
My rebel tendency
Yes.
plays into this for me too.
Yeah.
Because don't tell me what I can and can't eat.
Yeah.
Don't you be saying that I can't have that cinnamon roll. But once I do, there's a rebel part of me that's like, you've done it.
Mm-hmm.
What now? Are you going to do it again?
Yeah.
You've already experienced it. Let's go experience something else. So if I can really lean into, which I've tried to really lean into that. No, I'm not saying I'm never going to, but when I had the cinnamon roll, it didn't even taste like I had remembered it to taste. Like it wasn't hitting. This is the part nobody talks about, or
Yeah.
we talk about very little, is the food doesn't work in the same way for you once you've really opened yourself up to these types of
Mm-hmm.
pathways in your brain. And that's okay. That's what I want.
The memory is better than it tastes.
My God, is it so much? And I don't know if it's I'm a different person or if their ingredients are now different and what they're. I'm convinced that's a part of it.
Maybe both.
Maybe
Yeah.
a little bit of both. But the cinnamon, the actual cinnamon, the cinnamon roll from Cinnabon did not taste the same to me. It tasted very chemical. The cinnamon didn't even really taste very cinnamon. It tasted very processed.
Mm.
I was like, well, and then my mind goes to, well, maybe I need to make my own at home on Christmas morning. Like I start to, my brain tries to find a way to still experience it in that same way. And you know what I did? I made, cinnamon rolls one morning and I'm like, these aren't that great. Maybe I'm terrible. You know what?
Yeah.
But I did it. I tried it and I can move on.
Yeah.
So there's a portion of that is once I experience it, I don't allow it to lose control again.
Okay.
I don't know if that's going to land for other people or maybe they're not in that part of their journey yet.
It landed for me, so thank you. Thank you for me, at least. No, yeah, I think it's that the novelty piece that makes sense for me.
It does me as a
Yeah.
rebel,
Yeah.
rebel of the Four Tendencies by Gretchen Rubin, because I'm a rebel, that resonates with me. But I don't know that it would resonate with an obliger necessarily or an upholder. I don't know. But I do think we all experience novelty.
We all probably have a little bit of a teenager in us.
I think so.
A little bit of a person that goes against the grain.
So 1, I feel hunger, I'll lose control. 2, hunger means I'm about to fail again. For people who've dieted repeatedly, you've gone through the same restriction, overeating cycle. Like you have this problem that you're trying to fix, so you don't eat as many calories, you fix the problem, and then you just start eating all the food that you ate before and maybe even in more quantities. Hunger has been framed as proof the plan is working, proof they're being good, which I actually still see this like, ooh, I'm hungry. I know I'm losing fat. I know I'm working towards my goal. I know I'm making the right steps in the direction that I want. Or it's like proof it could be proof that they're doing something wrong, maybe for them. For me, the hunger is like, okay, I'm doing I'm making the right steps towards the right direction. But I think some people could feel that could show up in their bodies as proof that they're doing something wrong.
Mm.
So what they're really afraid of, it could be hunger confirms I'm back in the cycle I promised myself I was done with. So wrong in that you have to do this again, or you're seen to being have to do this again because you weren't able to fix it the first time around. Like you really haven't got your arms fully around this yet. This one's a little bit of a mind trick.
Yeah.
But you could be seen as like, I told myself I would not be in this position again. And here we are. I'm having to go around this dang mountain. I've been on this path before, and here we go again. I must be failing. This one's a little tricky.
Mm-hmm.
3 is if I let myself feel hunger, it won't stop. The hunger won't stop. Not I'll lose control, but the hunger won't ever stop. This fear often comes from periods of restriction, scarcity, or food insecurity, emotional or literal. Like there's a insecurity literally around food, or it could just be an emotional one. The nervous system remembers this. This is where the nervous system regulation really comes into this, is hunger didn't get resolved calmly. You white knuckled your way through it. You didn't use any other coping techniques to help yourself regulate or stimulate in some way. You just white knuckled it through. And that works for a while. It really does. But if you don't actually turn to something different to regulate or stimulate, relieve in the right way, your nervous system will win every time. Hunger can lead to urgency. Hunger led to overeating before. What you actually could be afraid of in this moment is if I open the door to hunger, I won't be able to close it again. 4, hunger feels like deprivation. I think I hear this one quite a bit. Or like, I just don't want to be deprived. I don't want to deprive myself. This for me, this lands along the I deserve it road. I don't know if that's how that one kind of shows up for you, especially common in people with like long-term dieting histories. I've done it, Weight Watchers 8 times. I did this one. I did that one. I mean, I can't remember a period of time where I wasn't thinking about doing a diet or actually doing a diet.
Right.
Even mild hunger gets interpreted as I'm punishing myself. This is a restriction. I'm depriving myself. I'm being denied something.
Normal people don't have to experience
people don't have to experience this with this.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true either.
No, it's not.
What they're really afraid of is I don't want to live in a state of no anymore. No, and I'm doing air quotes around no.
Yeah.
And this is kind of this one speaks to like the toddler in me. Like, I don't want to be told that I can't have something, denied something. I want what I want and I want it now. So I just don't want to live in that state of no anymore. And 5, hunger makes me emotionally unsafe. Hunger lowers emotional regulation for some people. It amplifies irritability, anxiety, sadness, emotional volatility. I think this could show up, especially if I'm thinking back. I think this showed up for me as some anxiety and some irritability, because your body will release cortisol if it believes it's in a state of threat, of course. Right. Hunger, for prolonged enough, could be experienced as a state of threat. So your body is already more primed and sensitive to any sensation that's going on in your body. So you're just a little more
on edge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
If someone has learned that emotional dysregulation is risky, which I think we did, conflict, shame, abandonment, hunger becomes something to avoid at all costs because it's just another risky thing that your body's experiencing. What they could really be afraid is I don't trust myself when I'm hungry. I just don't trust myself. I don't make good decisions. I'm extra sad. I'm extra anxiety riddled, extra irritable. It's risky. It's risky for me. 6 is hunger reminds me of being out of control in the past. This is a little bit of the same vein as some of the other ones, but it's especially true for people who've experienced the binge restrict cycles, eating disorders of some kind, chaotic food environments. Maybe there was a portion of childhood that food was scarce.
Yeah. I think about this one a lot, actually. I've talked to my direct manager some, and he, just to put him on the spot, I probably shouldn't, but I've talked to my direct manager a lot about his childhood. Food was scarce for him, and he brings this up a lot as...
Was it scarce for him?
It was, yeah. And he brings this up a lot as his... he ties this to his issue with food.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of I mean, it wasn't a huge restriction for us, but it wasn't scarce, but
It wasn't.
What we had in the house, our options were scarce. So I kind of tie this with us a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not to as dire as other people's situations.
We certainly didn't go hungry.
No.
But it certainly did. There wasn't an overabundance of all kinds of food either.
Yeah. We were stuck with canned fruit and stuff like that. But this one's interesting. I think this probably affects a number of people and probably older generations too, like our grandparents.
Do you think there's just this feeling that this is a road that leads back to a version of me I don't want to be again? I don't want to be that person who has a lack of something. I don't want to be the person that doesn't have the things they need. Maybe that's how it's viewed.
I think so. I'm not going back. I've worked hard to become the person I am today. I'm not going back. I think so.
7 is hunger means I didn't plan well enough. I mean, this is probably one for us a little bit, like for high achievers and planners and organizers and those who've got it all together and have dotted every I and crossed every T. Hunger can feel like a moral failure. Like you didn't plan this well enough. You should have been more in front of this. And there's judgment behind that. I mean, what could be really coming up is if I'm hungry, it means I wasn't disciplined, prepared, or responsible. So they eat preemptively, not out of need, but to avoid that self-judgment. It's kind of these are getting a little into the psychology realm, but I think we need to at least toe the line there so people can oh man, I didn't think of it. Like I was actually judging myself.
I think this one touches on me a lot. I've talked about it before. I always have probably plan A, B, and C because plan A sometimes it's not allowed to happen because things fall through. And so I make sure I have plan B and C so that I don't go hungry. I don't really think that I am afraid of hunger, but maybe I am subconsciously, and that's why I do have plan B and C.
I think I am personally afraid to say that I'm afraid of things. I don't want anybody to see that I am afraid of things.
Yeah.
So I think I don't turn to things in the right way when fear and afraid has been used. I'm like, I'm not afraid of anything.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? That's why the self-limiting belief for me that I'm not enough doesn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense to me in the moment. But of course, when you think about it, it does.
Right.
Because that means I'm afraid of not being enough.
Mm-hmm.
I have a fear of that. And I'm not afraid of anything.
So maybe you are afraid of being hungry.
I think I probably am. I'm just not quite
aware of it.
Tuned with it in that way.
Yeah, I think that number 7 really hits home with me. Hunger means I didn't plan well enough because I'm a big planner. You are too, though.
I am, but I usually only, and I've tried to be better at this because it had been brought to the surface that I only do a plan A because my plan A's are so perfect and I don't even need a plan B. And then I'm shocked that, what do you mean I need a plan B?
Yeah.
So I have been able to be flexible enough to pivot more, but I also am not someone that wastes the time creating other plans.
Yeah, I will say my plan Bs and Cs are not fully formed.
But you've got them where you can pull them out if you need them.
I pivot. I'm like,
That's where I'm at these days. I'm like, there is a plan B and this is the direction it looks like it's in, but I don't have it full. It's not as thought out as plan A.
I pivot on the spot. I'm like, I have pieces out there I can pull in.
I mean, the idea is that we know enough of what we need to do that we can.
The knowledge is there.
I need a protein, I need a fat, I need a veg.
Yep.
You don't have these things in this restaurant that I was planning on having. Easy pivot.
Yep. I've looked at the menu. I plan enough that I look at the menu before I go. That's the thing. And I have a half-formed B and C. I look well enough that I don't just stop at this is what I'm getting. I'm like, what else looks interesting?
Mm-hmm.
That's my B and C. I'm like, that looks good too. Like, I'm not like, this is what I'm getting if they don't have that. And this is what I don't fully form B and C. I just browse, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. But before, I think if I had a plan A, it was so solid, I didn't need a plan B. So when plan A didn't pan out, then it became pancakes and Rice Krispie treats.
French
and
toast with
cinnamon,
ton of butter and pure maple syrup. And,
yeah.
A cinnamon roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in fact, we're going to Easter is this weekend. At the time we're recording this, it's Easter of 2026. So we've been doing this thing where we go out for like a brunch on Easter. We used to do a whole big family thing and it was just a headache. So now we go out somewhere.
They never leave the house.
We experience them and we're able to experience Easter without all of the fixing the food, cleaning up of the food. We can just go and experience a new place for brunch and that's it. So we're going to a place, it's like a barbecue joint. It sounds like crazy.
Yeah, it does sound crazy.
But they're having a brunch buffet. Have you taken a look at the menu?
I have.
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what I'm most likely going to get.
Barbecue joints are actually pretty easy to navigate.
I'm getting a ton of meat.
And you can ask for just you don't have to
get
a
buffet too. So
it's not, doesn't have to be slathered in a sugary barbecue sauce.
No, it won't be. They also have fruits, vegetables, like raw vegetables, salads.
I did see there was French toast on the menu too.
I know, I love French toast.
But I immediately was like,
I'm not getting that.
That's not what I'm going to have.
You know, they have sausage and gravy, they have French toast, they have pancakes, they have breakfast casseroles. I'm not getting any of that.
No.
They have eggs Florentine, not getting that. They have breakfast meats, chicken wings, pulled pork.
There's going to be vegetables. There's going to be plenty of options.
Oh, yeah. They also have shrimp cocktail.
Yeah, I saw that. Which is so good.
Randy is going to eat his weight in shrimp cocktail.
He will.
So
that
will be a sight to see. We might have to take a picture and post that.
Man loves his shrimp.
Yes, I do too, but he can out-eat me in shrimp cocktail.
Which goes into it didn't plan well. Like we have this planned.
Yeah.
And there's a buffet.
It's just
brunchy buffet.
eyeing my ounces of meat that I'm putting on my plate that I'll have to kind of
worry about.
worry about, but that's all right.
8 is hunger feels like emptiness. And I don't want to feel empty. This is quieter, but powerful too. For some people, hunger gets tangled with loneliness, boredom, lack of purpose, emotional absence. Food becomes a way to avoid that hollow feeling. What they really could be, what could be underlying fear of all of it. Because what you really have to ask is, okay, why am I afraid of being hungry? Okay, I'm afraid of the emptiness. But then there's usually a couple layers below that you have to. There's a 5 why technique.
Yeah.
In Lean, it's actually from the philosophy of Lean.
Six Sigma.
I've heard people talk about 3 whys, but really you just want to get down to the root.
You can ask 20 whys.
You can ask 20
You
whys.
have to-
It's called 5 why.
Yeah.
So this is where it's like, okay, hunger feels emptiness and I don't want to feel empty, but why? Well, it's because I'm bored, but why? If I sit with emptiness, or like boredom for me means I'm unproductive. But why is that also still like you could keep going down to why to a point that it gets a little bit ridiculous. You need to find the root of it that is there that you can work with and do something different with. But if I sit with emptiness, I might have to feel things I've been avoiding.
This feels like it's tied to I'm not enough.
Mm-hmm.
That's it because we just said that.
That's really true.
That's interesting. I don't want to feel empty.
And I think the boredom is something I really need to turn to more because I've totally just glazed over that. Like it's not important. It's not important for me enough for me to really wrestle with at a deep way, but it's time to start wrestling with it in a deep way for me. 9, hunger threatens my sense of safety. I'm surprised this is 9. And maybe there's a sense of safety through all of this, but this is nervous system level stuff. The body remembers times hunger wasn't optional. Times needs weren't met, and times care wasn't reliable. Food wasn't reliable.
Yeah, I feel like this is underneath all of these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even mild hunger triggers that stress response. It doesn't have to be this like, oh my God, I've only had, 1,000 calories a day or 800 or 500. There's some days that you really just aren't physically hungry, but then it's 8 o'clock and you're like, I've only had 500 calories a day. Now I actually am hungry. Now you just need to go to bed and eat tomorrow. But, sometimes maybe below this, that what the real fear is, if you ask the why even deeper, my needs won't be met unless I handle it myself right now. Because if there was a sense of you weren't able to rely on others to meet your need, to fulfill your hunger, your basic need for food, how much do you really have to rely on yourself to fix that? And 10, hunger means I'm not allowed to rest. Hunger for some people, and maybe I need to turn more towards this one, is tied to productivity. I should eat later. I'll eat once this is done. I don't have time to be hungry.
That's interesting. It's almost like they're wearing a badge of honor with it. Interesting.
It kind of is the same vein for me around sleep, where like I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Yeah.
It's this, I haven't slept. I pulled an all-nighter. How many times do we hear that at work? And I am like, you have got to sleep. Take weight out of it. You are not your cognitive best if you haven't got quality sleep. And this is like, I think people could wear this. Oh, I forgot to eat. I hear people say that. I don't know that they're actually doing this as they're trying to get accolades or get the brownie patch for not eating. Like I did something. I didn't even eat. I didn't even need food. I'm so amazing.
I guess it depends. Like if you're having a really good time with something,
I've totally forgot to eat. It's been very rare.
like we forgot to stop and eat because we were so involved in something and we lost track of time.
Yeah.
But that's pretty rare.
It's pretty for us.
Yeah, that's pretty rare. I don't think about food. So.
What they really could be afraid of here is that needing something means I have to stop, and stopping feels unsafe. Because the constant like busyness that people feel, that if I stop, then I would have to turn towards this one thing that I've been avoiding.
There's an environmental factor there. Maybe I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I don't know.
I mean, fear of hunger. I'm just afraid to be hungry. That's what we're really trying to get to here. I mean, it's fear of hunger might not be so much about food. That's why I wanted to go through these and there could be other ones. These are just some of the key ones that have come up in the lab. in side conversations, in just doing this for a while. And for me, this is how I think at least today, can articulate them. It's about what hunger has meant before. And that's the messy stuff. We never talked about this during Weight Watchers.
Mm-mm.
We could have done weeks where all we did was talk about what hunger really meant, down to the bones. What does it really mean? And that's why this work isn't about sitting with hunger or pushing through it. It's about restoring your trust, rebuilding signal clarity. What does this really mean? Am I really safe here? Giving yourself the evidence, teaching the nervous system that hunger can be noticed, met, and resolved calmly. This kind of gets to the holding two opposing thoughts in your head at the same time that we talked about before. And I just heard it again this morning. I'm listening to Atlas of the Heart by Brene Brown as we're doing a 75 challenge in the group. And she talks about, welcome to being human, because this is what humans being about. You can hold two opposing thoughts, even two opposing emotions in your head at the same, and both can actually be true at the same time. But it's actually really, really uncomfortable for you to hold both of them. It could be uncomfortable. It could feel like things aren't settled because your brain wants to be able to predict and choose one over. It immediately wants to go to this is the right answer. But it's okay to just notice both of them, meet them up, and then you can actually resist choosing one of the over the other and start to turn towards it in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we do? What can we even do with all of this? Eat? Just turn to food?
No, don't do that.
Look,
Resist doing that.
resist doing that. Instead of asking, should I eat this? Let's play this out. Let's say it's the evening time is the hard time.
Mm-hmm.
You're not really hungry. And you're like, oh man, should I eat something? Then you start negotiating with yourself. Man, did I have enough today? Did I really have enough protein today to satisfy my body? I should eat this. I should have this. I don't know. Blah, blah, blah. I did. I did not. I didn't have this today. And you could negotiate and waller it around 1,000 different ways.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the better question to ask after knowing the 3 different types of hunger and then going through all of the fears that could be behind being hungry, the question you could ask is this physical hunger or a moment that needs regulation? Because if it's physical, okay, then maybe you do eat a third meal, even though you hadn't planned it, but it's only a couple hundred calories and you're satisfying an actual physical hunger. Or maybe you don't and you just push through it in a different way. But if it's emotional, if you can go, no, I really think this is hedonic. This isn't homeostatic hunger. It's actually hedonic hunger. It's emotional. Then regulate with something that isn't food.
Mm-hmm.
And
don't
you're not
just
going to
white knuckle it.
No, just white knuckle it. You need to regulate.
Yeah.
But you can turn to something without turning to food to regulate. That is just the first and easy thing because food is so plentiful these days. We would have never have turned to food before because it wasn't available. We would have walked around. We would have jumped up and down. We would have breathed heavy or sighed heavy or talked to someone.
I don't even know if we would have thought to turn to food. I don't know.
It's interesting. As I heard recently this past week, somebody was like, in the 1970s, if you wanted a cookie during the workday, you would have had to have drove somewhere to a bakery and bought it.
Yeah.
And nobody did that.
No.
But now in the middle of the workday, cookies are out at the break room table every freaking day.
Well, and I'm thinking of pioneer days,
even before,
I mean, or even back in the caveman days, I don't even think we would have thought to turn to food. It just probably wouldn't have even crossed our minds because we never conditioned ourselves to reward ourselves.
Food wasn't, we didn't have highly processed, highly palatable food. So the food wasn't
addictive.
No.
So
it wasn't regulating us in the same way.
No.
God, I really want this piece of broccoli so I can regulate.
Man, I really want to gnaw on that lamb bone.
Can't wait to have these this celery stick. It's really going to help with my anxiety. So I think asking the question, okay, which type of hunger is this? Is this a conditioned hunger? Because if you learned it, you can unlearn it or at least work with it in a different way. Is this hedonic? Do I need emotional regulation? Or is this really homeostatic? So I think asking what kind of hunger it is. If it's conditioned, interrupt it, redirect, and redesign. Food is not the enemy. Confusion is. And I've really wrestled with this because I think personally I get confused about what emotion I'm actually really feeling. So that I'm really working with that. That's like my next phase. And this one's going to take some doing because I've got a lot that I need to unravel, a lot of self-judgment around it because, oh gosh, you're just really like, you're just bored. What's wrong with you? Who cares? Just be bored. It's not that big of a deal. But when you actually break down what's happening in your body, when you actually are bored, it actually is a way bigger deal than I've ever given it the light that shine the light on it that it needs. So name the hunger. Go ahead.
No, sorry to take us back. I like what you said though. Food is not the enemy. I think sometimes I have labeled food the enemy.
Maybe we should stay on that a little longer. Yeah.
It just lit a light bulb in my head. That is very profound because I have blamed the food, I think, historically in a lot of situations because the food has made me fat. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously my decisions with it, but I'm like, it's the food's fault. But it's you turning to regulation's fault. Right.
It's the way you're choosing to regulate.
It's my relationship with it, my regulation with it. But food is not the enemy. I just thought that was very interesting. I don't know how to put it into words.
No,
though.
I think this is, and maybe we go this way with it. I've really been wrestling with, we villainize certain foods.
Yes.
Or moralize certain foods because we talk about, oh, that's a good food. That's a bad food.
Yes.
We can evangelize certain foods.
And I judge certain people when they're eating those villainous foods.
Right. How many of us think bread is the devil?
Yeah.
I have a problem, and I'm trying to figure out a way to wrestle with this, the word carbs. Mm-hmm. Because we just, in general, have villainized carbs in general.
And I'm not quite,
You're not quite that bad with it.
I eat carbs.
But there are so many of us, I think, that have been like, just don't eat bread.
Yeah.
Just don't eat bread and you're going to be perfectly fine, which is not the answer.
Yeah.
But we will villainize certain foods, and I think it's really important. It's really important. Like, this is probably one of the things to unpack and wrestle with, and it's a little messy, is that, we certainly have paradigms around certain foods.
Yes.
Because fats were bad for a while. Mm-hmm. Then carbs were bad for a while. And then like meat was amazing. And then Atkins died from a heart attack. So then we were like, oh man, red meat's the devil now. Like we have just like right now, protein is getting a big moment. And I think in 2026, we're going to see fiber is going to have its beautiful moment. And then cottage cheese is, having its moment. And it's all this, like, what is it?
It's probably going to be bad at some point.
What is it going to be next? Eggs were terrible at one point, and then they were okay. And now they're like amazing.
Right.
They actually are protein. They actually are the perfect protein, by the way, because they have all the essential amino acids in them.
I guess what I was trying to say is food is not the enemy or the villain, because we have to learn to love it, because we have to eat it.
It is actually one of the greatest pleasures.
Well, and we have to survive. We have to figure out how to have a relationship with it. We have to figure out how to respect it, live with it. We have to figure out how to, sorry, my voice is scratchy. I'm really not crying. We have to figure out a way to live with this relationship with food in a healthy way and not make it the villain, not make it its fault. I just thought when you said that, It was a very profound moment for me. So I just wanted to go back to that. Hopefully that means something to somebody else and I didn't just drag us down a rabbit hole.
And let me tag this on too. While you were saying that, I was
Yeah.
looking up something. I was listening, I promise.
Oh, you were on your head, I know.
I'm really trying to figure out how to frame this one. I've been sitting on this one for a while. I want to do some nerdy facts on it at night, or maybe it ends up being in the book someday or something. And maybe we end up doing a whole podcast on this one, but I did say food is one of the greatest joys. And I do believe we experience food in a fantastic way. That's why we've experienced this with our family. There were great emotions. We want to recreate that wonderful experience. And food was a part of that experience. We have to recognize that.
Mm-hmm.
But also this is true. This is holding two opposing thoughts in your mind. Stop enjoying foods so much that you don't enjoy your body.
Mm-hmm. Don't love food more than yourself, essentially, is how I take that.
Yep.
That's my corollary with it.
Yeah.
Don't love food more than yourself.
If it's doing harm, it's too much.
Right.
And harm for you could be different than me,
right?
Different for Randy, for Adam. But essentially, too much energy that the body is given is harm.
Right. And if we're all here, I would say that I imagine we have all loved food more than we've given love to ourselves.
Yeah. Okay, so name it. Is this hedonic? Is it homeostatic? Is it conditioned? If it's, find out which one it is, and then naming it in the moment will interrupt the pattern just long enough. I'm not saying it means you're not going to go face down in whatever it is you were about to go face down in.
It pauses.
It pauses it. It allows you to actually switch over to a different part of your prefrontal cortex, which can bring you back, which is your decision-making part of your brain. It thinks about social context. It thinks about long-term future goals. You can actually start to work with it in a different way, which actually
primitive face down.
Right.
Just,
which is actually a different part of your brain that your habits live in. So you have to kind of try and switch back between the two.
We're doing a lot of hand motions right now.
It's biology though. It's neuroscience. It's wild. But so name it, interrupt it. Food is not the enemy. Confusion is. Eat for homeostatic hunger early and consistently throughout the day. This lowers that hedonic and conditioned intensity later. I'm not saying it gets rid of it. But if I have given my body the energy and the satiation it needs, meal 1 and meal 2, before evening comes, I'm not really physically hungry.
I don't do this.
You don't eat early enough, do you?
Mm-mm.
That was okay. That's so two big things this time around the mountain that I really had to wrestle with and turn to, because if I wanted this time to be different, I needed to do things differently. One of them was eating in the evening time, which seemed like a wild and crazy thing to me. And now it's just our life 2 years later. Even in maintenance, we're like, this is amazing. And the second one was eating breakfast, because I don't prefer to eat that early. I'm not hungry when I get up in the morning. I'm not a breakfast eater typically. I like breakfast foods, but eating at 8 a.m., which Dad loves to do, it was just kind of not my thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, all right.
I love breakfast.
I do too.
I just choose not to eat it because I'm around people at lunch and dinner.
Mm-hmm.
So socially, I need to be eating something at lunch and dinner. So I just need to flip that. I mean, obviously, we just had the conversation about not eating dinner. So I'm flipping that switch.
My story I had in my head was that I'm not hungry and I'm not going to feel good if I eat that early.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to tell myself, you're going to do things differently this time. So why don't you just try it? Try it for 2 weeks. Yep. What does it feel like to eat a meal 1 at like 7 or 8 a.m.? And then you have a 4 to 5 hour window, and then you eat 12:30 to 1 with everybody else. You're still eating with everybody else, but you don't have a dinner. You do not, that's the time that you do something else. Let's just do it for a small period of time. So we did that at the same time because we had to, because I still wanted to get the calories in that I wanted. So I needed to have 2 meals. Randy ended up not doing his breakfast super early. He ends up not having his food till like 10 or 11, sometimes even noon. And then he'll have his meal too, like that 4 to 5 mark. And then he heads home. But then we don't have anything else. So his is just a little bit later. But I backed mine up. I backed mine up to around 7 or 8. And then I would eat the normal lunch hour that I could eat with coworkers and feel, quote unquote, normal. Yeah. I could be a normal person, which I hate feeling like that, but there's social construct there that we need to also recognize that that's a real thing. It took me, I didn't love it. I felt like I was forcing myself to eat in the morning. I wasn't hungry, but I was like, I'm just going to eat this. And I would drink my water. I would have my meal 1, and then I would move on to black coffee between meal 1 and meal 2. And I would have meal 1 no later than 3 p.m., but generally around that same lunch hour, because then I could sit with people and feel normal and eat my food that I brought, that I had prepped on Sunday, and then I wouldn't have anything else the rest of the day, which seems like a really long period of time to not have anything else to eat. But I actually really slept better. I felt better, and it took about a week, and I noticed my energy was better because I ate earlier on in the day. It took it about a week and a half, I would say, but I started to notice the afternoon didn't feel so heavy. Like I felt like I had more sustainable energy. And then, of course, just the not eating after a certain period of time allowed your body to fully rest and digest so that when you go into sleep, when you are sleeping finally, your body can actually do the things it needs to do instead of digest your food. Because your body will actually take priority over digesting your food, over restoring and relaxing, which is your sleep. So it will digest first and then sleep. So people who eat right before bed, they're not getting the rest that they could.
Yeah.
The level that they could. So that was the second one that I had to really try to reframe and then really run the experiment on. Like, all right, you don't have to do this forever, but let's give this the old college try. Let's not do it for 2 days and say it doesn't work. Let's give it a couple weeks and really see how your body reacts to it. And there is some more science behind that. I don't have it pulled up now, but quickly it does level out your hormones. Women especially tend to have a cortisol spike in the morning if you don't eat early enough. And I think there's probably a threshold for some women. We're not all the same, but the research does show that not eating in the morning has a cortisol spike that doesn't actually alleviate until you do eat. It's something along those lines.
Yeah.
I don't think this is for everybody, but I think that did appear for me because I think that's what allowed me to feel the energy regulation throughout the day. Is your cortisol typically normally spikes in the morning time, which you want, but it shouldn't stay that elevated for too long. And because that could be draining for your overall nervous system down the road later on in the day. Maybe that's why you have the 3 o'clock slump, because you didn't give it what it needed for your body to have it early enough and consistently enough. So,
people always want to eat again at 3 o'clock. They always want a snack.
And it's chocolate.
Yes.
It's never
always sugar.
It's never celery.
Yep. It's always sugar. It's interesting.
A lot of like, oh yeah, I've got to have that. I've got to have that afternoon snack. I hear that so much.
Yeah. I just need to eat something again.
Yep. And how many times do we have the snacks during all day meetings that are provided in the afternoon? And I always go and look too. If I'm at work and I'm like, what is it that I could have?
She judges.
I do. I judge the food.
She does.
Sometimes
she looks
there's
and
a
judges.
beef stick, but it's still, I just kind of sigh and I'm like, but you hear everybody opening their wrappers and popping their cans and you don't feel like you're a part of that. There's still a part of that I'm like, There's also the rebel part of me that's like, I'm not a part of that.
I know. I judge too.
Okay.
Anyways.
So eat for homeostatic hunger early and consistently. Build non-food regulation tools. Build non-food regulation tools. Build non-food regulation tools. And I'm just saying,
it again.
I'm saying this for me more than anybody, especially for stress, fatigue, vulnerability, and boredom. Those are the 4 biggies. Those are the 4 biggies that you have to really watch out for.
What kind of tools do you think those are?
So I was going to say there's
It
a
might be
handful
good
that I can think of. I don't have them written out or anything right now,
Yeah.
but breathing that
Mhm,
helps you
that's what I
get
was
back
thinking.
into your parasympathetic nervous system. Even 5 minutes of breathing can completely change
Mhm.
neurologically
Like
what's going on.
Box breathing.
It sounds crazy,
yeah.
like I'm just going to go breathe.
Mhm.
But it's the same thing as saying boredom isn't a big deal.
Mhm.
It's along the same vein for me. And I think that's what I'm wrestling with. Like, I'm not giving enough credence to some of the things that show up on this journey. And that's what I need to start turning towards. Boredom is a big deal. Breath work is actually a bigger deal than we give it credit for.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It
So-
actually lowers our blood pressure.
It does a
yep,
ton of things in the
absolutely.
body.
Yeah, physically it does a lot
Breathing,
of things as well as
5
emotionally.
minutes. Bach breathing. You can do the
I can never think what it's called.
Hedonic breathing.
Yeah,
I'll put
that
some
one.
in the comments of some of the breath work that comes up for that. 5 minutes, it puts your body into parasympathetic.
Yeah.
You want that.
I was going to suggest journaling.
Journaling is a big one.
A huge one for this because you can really potentially get to the heart of what the issue is if you really set some intentional
You can
time
even
to
ask the 5 why.
self-reflect. Yeah.
Like, you don't have to have an agenda going into the journaling. You can just, it doesn't even have to be
Self-reflect.
full sentences. It could be bullet points. It could be words.
Yeah.
You could actually draw something, because
Yeah.
drawing something means that you could be pulling something out of your subconscious, because we
Yeah.
think in pictures in the subconscious mind, not always words.
Yeah.
So it could be just whatever's kind of just coming up. Maybe you draw. Maybe it
Yeah.
isn't actually writing things out, but there is something about writing, getting the words out of your head and onto the paper. I know that's kind of silly, but
Yeah.
you're able to compartmentalize it in a way you couldn't in your head alone.
Yeah.
And that's the working through it kind of a thing. And
Yeah.
so you can even just, if you think it's stupid, set a timer for 5 minutes and just write what comes up. You
Yeah.
might be really surprised. I also pooed this for a really long time. Like, it's woo woo. It's
sounds
not,
fluffy, but it's
it's a waste of
good.
time.
Yeah.
I'll be damned if it doesn't work. So journaling, breathing,
Just-
walking, just getting your body moving.
Especially walking with a friend and just talking to somebody helps.
Calling
as
someone
well.
is the other one.
Yeah.
If you can walk and talk with a friend,
That's
whoa,
perfect.
you're
Oh my
solving
God.
world issues.
Yeah. There's thought reframing too is great. Like if you have a negative thought that you're stressed about and you want to turn to food, there's thought reframing that is very helpful as well to
Yeah.
turn that thought into a more positive place.
Yeah. There's also temperature is another one. And I haven't really tried this one too much. I've tried it a couple times and it does work. It almost just felt like it interrupted the thought patterns, where you could hold ice cubes in your hands. You could dump your hands in ice water. You can
Yes.
actually put your whole face in ice water, but there's a temperature change that's, it pulls you back into
Yeah.
parasympathetic in a way. So that is another
Those
one.
are some good ones.
These are some pretty good ones. I will say have you heard the study about the women who washed clothes?
No.
You might have. So, and I'll get this wrong because I don't know when it was or what it was, but this is a social aspect. This goes to walking and talking in a sense. So before, women would communally go and wash clothes in the river together, or in a place where they would take the dirty clothes and they would go wash the clothes together. That's where they would talk. That's where they would commune. That's where the kids were playing while they were doing it. It was a community thing. And then comes along technology and we get washing machines. And I don't know, maybe I'll pull it up and I'll put it in the show notes. They actually measured the emotional distress that the women experienced between the time when they were able to wash clothes as a community to when they were isolated in their house and were able to wash it in a washing machine. And it's significant.
We are social beings.
Just being able to sit and chat about life in general. It's a similar exercise to journaling, where you're able to just articulate it in a different way, in a way that you can make sense of and organize. Just being able to go, I'm thinking like this, and somebody validating that, like, yeah. Or going, Why are you thinking about it in that way? You've done X, 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 and you show up to this, this, and this.
Right.
How can you not trust yourself? You've proven whatever it is.
Yeah.
You can also do that in a journaling technique where you take a sheet of paper and you write. It could just splatter it around on the paper. It doesn't need to be organized. It would be all of the things you would tell someone who was struggling. Maybe they showed up at a party and they had lost 50 pounds, but they have been off the wagon for 2 weeks and they've gained 10 pounds back because it started with a cupcake.
Yeah.
What would you tell that person? And then you write it all out on this paper.
Words of encouragement.
Don't worry about it.
Right.
You can start over. Who cares?
Look
10
at what
pounds.
you have achieved.
You would say, you would never tell that person that they're a piece of trash.
Yep.
And
Might
that
as well just gain it all back. Yeah.
you would never say
that.
that. What you do is you write all the things you would say, and then you cross out their name, which could be at the center of the paper or on the paper because that's who you're talking to, and you write your name down.
I love that.
That's one journaling technique that you can do, and it's really powerful. So build the non-food regulation tools. We'll probably talk more about those because it's important to keep turning to those and to be able to not have fear around the dang food. Food is not the enemy. And then change the environment before blaming yourself. Motivation is fragile, guys. Design is durable. How you design your house and your life matters. I think a lot of us think that we can have a whole different identity and a whole different way of interacting with our environment, but the house still is the same. The chips are still on the counter. The bread is still there. The peanut butter is still just there with the knife sitting on top of the container out where I can see it. And it's not always that it has to be hidden from you, but the environment does need to change for you to start working with it in a different way. No doubt. And total and closing, weight loss isn't about ignoring hunger. I don't want anybody to think we're like, you just need to white knuckle through it. You just need to, you have to find a different way to name the different type of hunger it is to interrupt the pattern and then build in non-food regulation tools, change the environment. It's about understanding it. When you can tell the difference between a reward, fuel, or conditioning, you stop fighting yourself at least as much as you did before. I'm not saying it's not going to be a fight and you still aren't going to have to work with this and you're still going to struggle. That's not what I'm saying. And that's the other thing. I think people think, well, I'm still struggling with this. What is wrong with me? You might always struggle with it, but it should be a little bit less. And you've got a little more knowledge and you've got some more tools in your tool belt to be able to pull out when those times come. And you start working with your system, not against it.
Until next time, stay curious.
Keep experimenting.